Plugin of the week is the Maserati Acoustic Guitar plugin. The Maserati Acoustic Guitar plugin is part of the Signature Series collection. It specifically focuses on acoustic guitar. So as you can see, Maserati, you can see here acoustic, and like all the Signature Series plugins, you get the basic same kind of idea, an input level or sensitivity control. So this brings the gain. We're trying to get this LED here to kind of light up mostly green, yellow, orangish in that area, and that will affect the way that the processing works. Now, what we have here are some different characteristics, two basic types, Acoustic Guitar 1 and Acoustic Guitar 2. So depending upon what the part is actually doing, is it just straight rhythm part, then that might call for one of these better if it's just like strumming. And if there's more parts and picking and arpeggios and things like that, then one or the other may work. So we'll just kind of see how this fits in the context of the overall track. We got some controls here for punch. That's usually like a compression characteristic, which would be like a slow attack kind of characteristic that makes the transients kind of pop out a little bit more. Mid-range EQ and a high EQ. These are in stepped selections, so you kind of get these fixed stepped frequency boost attenuation kind of characteristics that are kind of thrown in. And then we have the ability to have some effects in here, a wet dry control for the effects, which is an exciter and a delay. So depending upon what you have here, sometimes these characteristics change, and in this case it doesn't. We can have the display here, which is a DBFS meter in its own circular crazy kind of style, show input or output. It does not show gain reduction, so you're not going to see any of those types of things. And then we can either apply it across the insert or on a send. So in a send return configuration, then these are the basic controls. Otherwise, what you have here is a feed to effects, and then you have a wet-dry balance that kind of runs from here. So let's start by selecting an acoustic guitar, and that might be the best way to start. So let's cue up our acoustic guitar part here, and then let's... So we can select between the two. So this is actually adding in a kind of, with the delay, I guess, a room kind of sound. This is actually more focused. Let's hear it bypassed. So Acoustic Guitar 2 is obviously warmer. This is more focused, especially with the exciter. So let's just start by working with this. Let's kind of go with acoustic number 1 here. We can set our... So we have 2 acoustics in this particular section. So... And in this... So we'll kind of start with this guy here. So it may fit differently in the song here, but you can hear the different frequencies. That's just flat out noisy. This may be the best of all 3. I'd probably like it somewhere in between those two. Let's see what we got here. It kind of probably picks up the low end of where that leaves off. And then we've got punch. Not getting a big difference here with this. Maybe I need more signal in. A little more subtle than I expected, but it does add a bit to the attack. Kind of what I was thinking in terms of the way that the plugin is designed, which is just giving you like a sort of slow attack compression that kind of kicks in with a fast release, so it kind of accentuates the attack a little bit. A little more subtle than what I expected, but let's just kind of work with it here a little bit. And let's put on some effects. So there's a room environment here with a pre-delay. I want something that gives it like a nice amount of presence here. So this is just like just kind of our wet-dry control here for controlling the outlet, and we got mix in the amount of this, and we also have an exciter built in. This kind of makes it a little bit edgy to me. I was thinking I'm gonna kind of leave this out.
I'm laying on my desire just
It's funny when you listen in, kind of working, might work in the mix, you kind of picking different frequencies. Like you get a lot more presence at the higher frequencies, but it doesn't drive as much in the mix. So let's just see what this sounds like from the beginning. So with the lower settings here, this seems to kind of sit nicely in the mix. Not too harsh and pointed. Maybe we can bring in a little bit more of the exciter here for some of the presence. See, with this and the higher frequencies here, it gets a little bit harsh. It actually works pretty well. So this is the Maserati Acoustic, specifically designed for acoustic guitars, and you could hear how the specific settings really bring out some of the different characteristics of an acoustic guitar, and then it's a matter of tweaking in the ones that sort of fit within the track, which is why I'm really working with it within the context of a track, because sometimes just soloed up you can come up with some things like, hey, that sounds really great and bright and present, and you put it in the context of the track and it's stepping all over the vocal or stepping all over the drums. And in that context, although you don't get the amounts for these given things, you just kind of get some different frequencies, and that's part of what the Signature Series is. But overall, actually quite a good, somewhat kind of ranges from natural sounding to pretty aggressive sounding in terms of the processing, but really brings out like a nice energy. I also I've always liked kind of room type of sounds here on acoustic guitars that seem to be really well suited together. It also lends a kind of like three-dimensional space that makes it sound a bit natural. And so that's like a nice addition to this particular plugin. All right, so there you have it, a simple one. Maserati Acoustic by Waves.